Hey everybody, welcome back to another quick update video regarding Warno. Now, first of all, yesterday there was another blog post, as every Friday. Nothing really particular special, which is why I didn't bother making a video about it. Would have been just 2 minutes long. But essentially, they've briefly shown off, or described, or gave an overview over the East German division that will come with the next pack of divisions. Meaning, I would expect that we are not gonna get new divisions next week. I think if they were ready already, or almost ready, they probably would have also talked about a West German division. But that's just me guessing, right? I actually have no secret information or anything, or not even non-secret information from Eugene that would let me to believe that. It's all based on the fact that this blog post only included one division, so I could be wrong. Anyway, East German division, yeah, nothing really fancy, but there's one interesting thing that that Kvasius, in case anyone really remembers him of you, hasn't been on here in a while, pointed out to me. Only mentioned T72s and T72Ms. No M1 version. Which I'm pretty sure should be in time frame. It's also like 3 T55 versions. No BMP2. So only in the 9th Panzerdivision. So I guess maybe that division is gonna get the T72 M1s, given that they received the MBMP2, so maybe that's gonna be the best equipped division. So only BMP1 SP2s, similar to Wargame, MI24s. The MI24P here, now that is interesting. Has two side-mounted 30mm autocannons. So essentially like the MI8T KT, no nose gun anymore. The KT in Wargame, of course. A bunch of MI2 transport helos. ARM 70, T18, T813, a good old supply truck. RPG-7VL, that is... We have this in game, we have VR and RPG-7V. I don't think we have the VL yet. I assume that it's... What do the Grenzer have? They have the V, yeah, V is 18. And you'll see in a second here, the VR doesn't have 24, 23 anymore, it has 20 now, but we're gonna get to that in a second. So we don't have that in game yet, so we'll see what that looks like. But other than that, really nothing. Oh, particularly good information. You're gonna get a Fagot and Kokon anti-sham infantry. I assume someone pointed out this is probably not Kokon, but Conquerors. And yeah, they also mentioned they fixed the Alpha Jet, and there's the showed off the Kanoniak Panzer now for the 8th Infantry Division that you get your hands on hopefully next week, which is actually the main thing this video is about, and that is briefly showcasing some of the changes that you can expect next week. Now, regarding units, I think one should I say it one more time? One big deal is a sort of rework of Infantry AT. As always, by the way, nothing here is guaranteed. Especially this might actually be reverted again. Who knows? Personally, I'm not a fan of it, but we'll wait and see, right? But I cannot, given that I'm free to stream this, right, I can freely talk about this. We've at least been testing this out. And what it did is they more or less across the board nerfed Infantry AT. You have the RPG-7VR now with 20 AP. Panzerfaust 44 with 14. Didn't get hit as hard, right? It had 15 before. The Dragon now has 16 instead of 18. The Metis down to 18. Though maybe it was supposed to be the Metis M before, now it's just the Metis, I don't know. The Law I think was always 13, that isn't new. I think the biggest thing is RPG-7 VR to 20, this to 18. The 84 got... where's the 84? Oh no, they only carry the Law now. Rangers are in the Infantry tab now. 84 is 17. M60, it still has 13. Panzerfaust 44 we had. There's a new unit here. A Vampire Squad with RPG 29s. I'm not sure if 20 rounds is intended, but also only 21 AP. Just as the RPG 20... Is it 27? Yeah, RPG 27, also 21 AP. Now this is all good and well. But there's one thing you have to keep in mind when you compare these numbers to wargame numbers. The heat damage calculation is a bit different. In Warno, for now, it follows the same table and formula as kinetic, which means AP minus armor divided by 2 plus 1. Right? So 18 AP to 4 armor. 18 minus 4 is 14, divided by 2 is 7, plus 1 is 8. 8 damage. In Wargame, an AP armor difference, like AP minus armor, of 14 one-shots already. What does this mean? In practice, well, you have the M113A3, 343 side armor. Currently, there's only 2 infantry squads in the game that can one-shot this vehicle. Those are namely the Vampire Squad, I'm not gonna try to pronounce their name, and the Spetsnaz Crew, or GRU. Anything below 21 AP will not be able to one-shot 3 armor. Which means that in Wargame it would be 17, right? Which also means that no infantry can one-shot the BMP-3 or the BMP-2. I'm not gonna, say it should be like that, it shouldn't be like that. All I'm saying is that I don't like it. I'm not really sure what nerfing AP on infantry is supposed to achieve. I think in Wargame, they always had a bit more AP than corresponding other heat rounds, like maybe heat shells or maybe even missiles. I believe due to, being short range, and Eugen essentially said, well, infantry can aim better for weak points or something like that. Maybe that's not up to date. Maybe that only was like an argument in ALB or European escalation, but I think that was more or less the argument. I mean, I don't care about realism, but I don't like that, right? Obviously, against tanks with like anything where the AP minus armor difference is less than 11, i.e. 10 and below, the heat formula from Wargame doesn't make a difference, right? Up until the difference of 10, AP and kinetic work the same in Wargame. And every additional point below adds 1 full point of damage instead of 0.5. Which is why you need 4 less AP to one-shot than you need with kinetic. So, yeah. In my eyes, me personally, I prefer both, reverting the AP values for most of these guns and going back to the heat formula. But at the very least, go back to the old heat formula so that to one-shot an M113, you at least 17 AP is enough. Maybe don't go fully back to like the whole 23 and 24 AP of RPG-7 VRs, but maybe just 1 or 2 points back on some of these weapons, right? I just think that mid-tier AT weapons, 80 penetration-wise, like 84s, Carl Gustavs, stuff like that. Or we actually have a Carl Gustav with these. Right, 16 AP. I think these type of weapons should be able to one-shot basically any IFV. But maybe that's just me. If the basic Panzerfaust 44, basic RPG-7, law or something, needing 2 shots, good. In fact, I'd prefer if they needed 2 shots against anything that has at least some armor, right? More than just 1 basic armor. I would like to see that. But if you actually pay extra for having a better than basic AT weapon, I think you should be able to one-shot, IFVs and better armored APCs like the M113A3. So, Eugen has very much, are aware of this feedback and such, so they are hopefully at the very least thinking about it, so we'll see how that turns out. And by the time that the next public patch is out, maybe it's reverted, maybe they did something else, we'll see. Now that is one big thing. The other big thing is guns, tank guns. M1 Abrams has 17 AP, so they said they brought all the ordnances, all the shells to 1989 standards. For the most part, at least, right? Because if you look at the M1A1, has a 19 AP, and the HA Abrams if my numbers can find it. It's 21. Something depleted uranium rounds. I don't even know. Also 1 AP more than the current in the live build. But TADBV, TADB 18 AP. TADUK, TADUK, TADU 20 AP. Still maybe a similar thing with the depleted uranium. I don't know. Right, 18, 18, 18. TADB I think used to have 16. T64BV I think also got nerfed to 18 actually. Not sure if intentional, but the price didn't change, so right now it's actually pretty bad. But TADB and BV, especially TADB, quite good tanks now. Both of these amazing. M1 Abrams also really good now with 17 AP, right? Plus 4 AP for no price. And okay, right? TT has also got buffed from I think 30 to 15. So some changes here, also some model changes, but I don't want to go over them because I don't even know what to look for. Yeah. Again, not the biggest fan, not necessarily because I'm like, oh no, this is OP, but more because I'm worried and I'm gonna beat a dead horse here. But what else am I gonna do? That's what I'm known for, am I not? No, I'm just joking. I'm worried about unit diversity. Obviously, you know, I'm gonna say use this phrase all the time. Compared to Wargame, obviously we went from nations to divisions, which I have from inherently no issue with, right? At the end of the day, I don't really care about what deck system they use, as long as there is diversity. Or there's, you know, actual substantial deck building, and not just, oh, I choose a division and the deck essentially builds itself, which we are pretty close to at the moment in my eyes. Especially okay, like third armored is very more or less builds itself. Other decks not so much, right? But they're not that far off. And with tanks having a lot more similar AP, there's a lot less diversity in their stats, right? If every Leopard 1 gets the best ammo, or there's only like two, like quote unquote modern divisions get the good Leopard 1 rounds, so all the Leopard 1s in their roster have the same AP, and the other divisions with the, you know, reserve divisions get the bad AP, there's like 2 Leopard 1 APs. To maybe exaggerate a bit. I'm not saying this is exactly how it will look like, but stuff like that is what I am afraid of. And, you know, add on to the fact that, you know, third armor division, a tank division here, has 3 tanks available. Technically only even 2. We have the HA and the M1A1. So the tank division doesn't look that bad, right? But what I'm saying is, we don't have an M1 IP, we don't have an M1. We are, you know, in this division, we don't have M60A1, M60A3, we don't have an M8 AGS, we don't have an MBT70, etc., etc., etc. Obviously, it makes sense. Some of these are prototypes, others were, from a realism point of view, it doesn't make sense. But from a gameplay point of view, you lose diversity. And, you know, in a war game, what was always fun with an armor division, or armored specialization, was obviously being able to make like lower tier tanks work a lot more. Here it depends on like what kind of armor division you have. You might be able to do it with the East German tank division that's gonna come up, hopefully. But on the other hand, they don't have any good tanks available, so what's the point then? Uh, So that's why I like that idea that several people brought up. If you choose a division for deck building, you are also able to choose a detachment, so to speak, from another division. You lose some activation points, or maybe it's the default deck building menu, so every division you always get a detachment. And the detachment essentially gives you some of the basic choices on top of the full division that your main choices, right? To just at least give some more choices. That is something that I'd like to see. And I'd like to see them try it out early enough so that it's not just an afterthought. Because I feel like if they release the full game with all the divisions, punch out a bunch of deals, you know, get a bunch of DLCs out, and then eventually be like, oh yeah, sure, we tried out. I feel like as an afterthought, it might not work as well as opposed to if the divisions might have been already built around that. But who knows? I guess you could probably just quote unquote balance it with the pseudo prototype detachment thingy tag. But these I think are the two of the 3 big changes. There's some other stuff like artillery has been changed a bit, like the M110 actually has lowered the fire now. Prices got changed a bit. Anti-air vehicles have better tourist traverse speed, so they should be able to lock onto planes more quickly. Oh, actually, there's one big thing. before we head into a quick game where I want to showcase something. Also, I guess I might as well show you off the Kanonenpanzer. There you go. As one thing when it comes to deck building. Look at that. Looks a lot cleaner to me. You changed, in case you're wondering, it's maybe not 100% intuitive, but if you want to change veterans, you just click on these things here. And if you want to, this is work in progress, right? This is not final. Once it's final, currently deck building is, eh. Also, they're missing the BMP3 for some reason. Oh no, that's the wrong division. They actually have it. But no, in the more or less final, or like next iteration, we should be able to just have the icons for all the transports down here for easier choosing and also comparing the stats. So, deck building is gonna be better. Now, lastly, there's one additional thing that actually has some gameplay impact. And that is dramatic pause. Look at this. You see Alpha. You see Foxtrot. You might notice, hey, there's nothing attached to it, right? No point value, no +2, no nothing. Well, if I start with like a couple of tanks here. But no, Razzmann, you forgot a CV. Or did I? Currently, again, there's no guarantee this will end up like in a live build or necessarily in this way in a live build. Currently, you won't need CVs for starting zones. In fact, starting zones thread disappear after, the game started. You won't need to start with the CV at all, right? I can just call in units wherever I want, like from which spawn I want. There's also a delay back again. Yeah. I'm not like hugely against it. I'm more or less indifferent. I just think it's actually not necessary. Again, who knows if it's gonna stay that way, if they're gonna change anything, but that's also currently tested out. That's basically all there is to it. Oh, I actually forgot something. No, we have to go back into the game. Something changed with the... I guess you could call it UI. It has to do with units actually displaying the accuracy of their weapons in the moment. Now, I hope this also works for fire precision. Make this slow so we have more time. Yeah, there you see 89%. I'm not a fan of this because it's very hard to miss, very hard to read. Like, if you pause the game here, ignoring obviously the big circle, which is, obviously is hard to ignore, but if you select a unit, I think at first glance it's very hard to see which weapon is firing. And we're not even talking about the accuracy here yet, right? Because in Wargame, you had like suddenly a big bar appear on top of each weapon. What changes here is the text changes and you have a small blue bar. So at first glance, this label doesn't really look that different from this label, right? Sure, there's a bright blue bar, but you still have to. It's just a split second more in my eyes that you have to look. So could be better, but hopefully it's just an interim solution. I hope that they're gonna do something else. It doesn't have to be like in Wargame where there's a bar, but just some bigger contrast that is between a gun not doing anything and a gun shooting and aiming or whatnot. Anyway, you can actually see live accuracy now, so that's cool. Quite helpful. And that is more or less this. There's been like some small changes here and there. The 8th Infantry Division availability has been fixed, stuff like that. But I think those are the big changes. And that's all there is to it. So, let me know what you think. Again, I don't know how much of this is gonna be final, how much it's gonna get reverted, changed back until it's gonna be public. Maybe they're not gonna make some of this public at all and keep testing it for now in a QA test build. I don't know, but I think it's worth showing, given that I'm allowed to show it. So yeah, let me know what you think, and I'll hopefully see you next time. Bye bye.